Let me share with you a profound truth that challenges conventional wisdom. Vulnerability is not a weakness, it's a source of immense strength. In a world that often equates strength with stoicism, invulnerability, and self-reliance, the idea of being open about our fears, struggles, or imperfections can feel counterintuitive. But here's the paradox. True strength lies in embracing vulnerability. It builds deeper connections, fosters resilience, and unlocks your full potential. Let me show you why vulnerability is a cornerstone of personal growth and how leaning into it can make you stronger than ever before. The first reason vulnerability makes you stronger is that it fosters authentic relationships. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, whether by sharing your feelings, admitting mistakes, or asking for help, you create space for genuine connection. People are drawn to authenticity because it signals trust and openness. For example, a leader who acknowledges their own uncertainties inspires loyalty and respect from their team. Similarly, a friend who shares their struggles invites others to do the same, deepening mutual understanding. Vulnerability breaks down walls and builds bridges, creating bonds that are resilient and meaningful. Another powerful aspect of vulnerability is its ability to accelerate personal growth. Growth happens outside your comfort zone, and vulnerability is the gateway to stepping beyond it. By confronting fears, taking risks, and exposing yourself to uncertainty, you stretch your capacity to handle life's challenges. For instance, an entrepreneur pitching their business idea for the first time may feel exposed and uncertain, but that act of vulnerability is what propels them forward. Each time you embrace vulnerability, you build emotional muscle, becoming more courageous and adaptable over time. Vulnerability also strengthens resilience. Life is unpredictable, and setbacks are inevitable. When you practice vulnerability, you learn to face adversity with honesty rather than denial. Instead of hiding behind a facade of perfection, you acknowledge pain, process it, and seek support when needed. This openness not only helps you heal faster, but also reminds you that struggle is part of the human experience. Vulnerability teaches you to lean into discomfort, knowing that on the other side lies growth and renewal. One of the most transformative effects of vulnerability is how it empowers others. When you're willing to show up as your imperfect, authentic self, you give others permission to do the same. For example, a manager who admits they don't have all the answers creates a culture where employees feel safe to innovate and take risks. A parent who shares their own childhood struggles helps their child feel less alone in theirs. Vulnerability has a ripple effect. It dismantles shame, normalizes imperfection, and encourages collective courage. To embrace vulnerability effectively, start by reframing it as a strength. Society often conditions us to view vulnerability as a liability, something to hide or avoid. Challenge this narrative by recognizing that vulnerability requires immense bravery. It takes strength to admit fault, ask for help, or express emotions openly. Remind yourself that vulnerability isn't about oversharing or seeking pity. It's about being honest and intentional in your interaction. This mindset shift lays the foundation for greater confidence and authenticity. It's also important to practice self-compassion. Vulnerability begins within. If you're overly critical of yourself, it becomes difficult to open up to others. Treat yourself with kindness, especially during moments of failure or insecurity. Acknowledge that no one is perfect and your worth isn't tied to your achievements or image. Self-compassion softens the fear of judgment, making it easier to be vulnerable without feeling exposed or inadequate. Another key step is choosing the right people to be vulnerable with. Not everyone will respond with empathy or understanding, so it's essential to surround yourself with trustworthy individuals who value authenticity. Start small, share a minor fear or challenge with someone close to you and observe their response. Gradually expand your circle of trust as you gain confidence. Remember, vulnerability doesn't mean broadcasting your innermost thoughts to everyone. It means sharing selectively and strategically to nurture meaningful relationships. Finally, celebrate the courage it takes to be vulnerable. Every time you step into vulnerability, whether it's apologizing, expressing gratitude, or pursuing a dream despite fear, you're demonstrating incredible strength. Reflect on these moments and recognize how they've contributed to your growth and happiness. Celebrating vulnerability reinforces its value and motivates you to continue embracing it as a lifelong practice. Here's a practical tip. Identify one area where you've been holding back due to fear of vulnerability. Is it sharing your creative work, speaking up in meetings, or opening up emotionally in a relationship? Commit to taking one small step toward vulnerability in that area. Write a heartfelt note, voice an opinion, or simply say, "I don't know," when appropriate. Notice how this act of courage shifts your perspective and strengthens your resolve. Let me leave you with this thought. Vulnerability is the birthplace of connection, creativity, and courage. By embracing it, you stop hiding behind masks and start living fully as yourself. You discover that true strength isn't about having everything figured out. It's about showing up, even when you don't. Vulnerability transforms fear into power, isolation into community, and stagnation into growth. So here's my challenge to you. Take one bold step toward vulnerability today. Whether it's admitting a mistake, sharing a dream, or reaching out for support, let yourself be seen. Trust that in doing so, you're not only becoming stronger, but also inspiring those around you to do the same. Go ahead, start now. Your courage will inspire others, and your strength will grow exponentially.